welcome back to Virtue Signal, the podcast about being moral in amoral times. I am here with Taylor Meanswell.
Hi, Eleanor. I was a little confused by this week's assignment, but I did the research and I'm prepared anyways. So coming in at number 5 is Cell Block down in Boys Town. Absolute wretched, gross.
Taylor,
Dump bleach on it.
I told you to go see the movie Backrooms.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to review Dark Rooms.
No.
Oh, well, number 4 is Banana Video, only slightly better than Cell Block.
Ugh.
Number 3, Touche, but you can't admit to anybody that you went there.
Real.
Newcomer, the Chicago Eagle takes number 2, and it's classic for a reason. Number 1 in the city, Jackhammer.
Jackhammer, I knew it.
So that is my review of Dark Rooms.
Thank you so much.
Which is what I was supposed to be doing.
Okay, good. And I'm here with Andre Kello.
I don't know that place that well, so I still call it Jonathan Rooms.
And we are here, we're joined by special guest Kate Wagner.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about the movie Backrooms. Which, I'll start with a little anecdote. When I went to go see the movie, I walked out of the theater, and as I was walking down the hallway down to the lobby, there are these 2 kids, like high school kids ahead of me. And I'm like looking around and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, everything's Backrooms. Like everything's like, this is a back room. And then I went out and I was like, this is a back room. And then the kids ahead of me were like, looked at each other and one of them was like, everything's Backrooms. So I was like, oh, I'm glad we all got the same sort of experience of this thing. Like, cause and then I walked from, also like Evanston, Illinois is a very Backrooms environment, I find. So that was sort of an interesting, like, I was like, oh, everybody just kind of got it. Like, it's not like a subtle film in any way. You know what I mean?
I kind of actually think it is a subtle film.
Tell me, what do you...
In many ways, like, I mean, obviously the plot is, like, relatively... It's actually, I don't even think the plot is simple.
Okay.
Because, like, by the end, like, the actual final unraveling of the plot is actually... For me, I think it complicates matters quite a bit, because then it becomes not really a slasher, typical horror type movie. Becomes, I feel like, kind of a commentary on the subconscious.
The subconscious.
Yeah.
Now, to be that girl, do you mean the subconscious or the unconscious?
I think the unconscious.
Okay.
For sure the unconscious.
Okay. You think that, like, with the, like, to me, like, the final image that I think of when I think is, like, when, what is the Dutch lady who does not pull off a convincing American accent?
Renate Reinsve?
Yeah, when she's all, like, abstracted and weird, it felt very much like, it reminded me a lot of Digital Circus, actually, when they abstract. But yeah, so unconscious in like a Freudian sense.
Yeah, well, I'm not quite sure in a Freudian sense. I mean, I think sort of I want to say like an aesthetic sense. Because some people were saying that the ending is like an allusion to AI, right?
Well, that's the problem with AI is everything is an allusion to AI.
I don't think it is, actually. I don't think it's about AI at all. I think it's about nostalgia and like about misremembering things.
I think it's also about addiction and how we get into these loops and cycles that we then either can get out of or not. Ultimately, you kind of can't.
I'm not sure if addiction is, like, I think more like rumination.
The rumination aspect of addiction.
Yeah.
Like, that's a constitutive activity of addiction, is rumination.
Which is why writers love being addicts.
Yeah. Oh, they love it. They love it. It's their favorite thing to do. Well, because, you know, the thing is, like, you get, like, addicted to language, right? Mm. Language is this kind of thing, like...
That's true.
Yeah.
I go to dialectical behavioral therapy every week.
So
I was just reading about that yesterday.
We spend a lot of time talking about rumination.
Is that DBT? I always thought that was dick and ball torture.
Yeah. The other DBT.
That's actually I can continue with my list if you'd like.
Please do.
The Detroit Board of Trade.
Yeah. Okay. I'm listening. I'm listening and learning.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, there's lots to talk about rumination in there. Is like kind of the principal activity of that begins as a sort of self-harm or self-abuse.
Well, yeah, there's that Lily Allen song that came out on the new album where she talks about, called Ruminating, and she talks about ruminating in my mind. But for her, it always seems like, something, like, for her, it's her first time ever doing it. Like, she's like, oh, no, my husband cheated on me, so what is this thing and I'm doing? And then she, like, has to look it up in the dictionary. It's like, ruminating.
That's crazy. Yeah. I've been ruminating since, like, I developed language.
Same. Mm-hmm. No, before then.
Mm-hmm.
Probably before. Probably there were some, like, weird little masturbatory things I was doing.
I don't know. I think, like, when I was, like I remember when Jean-Jacques was, like, in the womb, he was constantly, like, climbing shit. And I used to think about, like, what, like, like what that was like.
Ain't shit changed.
Yeah, no, he was just constantly like clinging. Felt like he was clinging to my rib cage, and I was like, "What are you doing? Are you like?"
You did put a cat tower in there.
It's true, I did. I shoved one up there at Jackhammer. Actually, they helped. So Backrooms, I would like to ask a banal question, which is, did you like the movie?
Yeah, I actually did like the movie. I think there were parts of it that were clunky because, like, in first time filmmaker.
That's what I was gonna say. Also, it's very like 20-year-old filmmaker behavior too, because I think he doesn't quite understand how grown-ups behave.
Yeah,
You know?
I think that there's a lot of like questions about the movie that I wasn't sure, or like decisions made that I wasn't sure were intentional.
Well, I am not convinced that.
Oh yeah, Andre's.
Okay, so if you look at the credits, these are all the people that worked on a number of successful films recently that, like including Long Legs and The Monkey and films like that.
Oz Perkins.
Right, yeah. These are, these are people that have been working together on movies pretty much around the clock for the last 4 or 5 years.
So you think it was like a studio film?
I think it's sort of like how Alfred Hitchcock had his TV show.
Yeah.
Like he took his TV crew and he went and made Psycho, right? And he was able to do it super cheap and really fast because he had a crew of people who all knew each other and worked well together, and they were able to, get the thing out the door.
So this is not an auteurist project. This is...
It felt very TV to me.
That's interesting.
Oh, like Twilight Zone-y?
Well, I mean, it definitely felt like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
sure.
that's my favorite thing about it, is I love Twilight Zone.
Actually, it didn't really feel Twilight Zone. What it felt like was the 90s Showtime reboot of Outer Limits, where it's
I
like...
thought you were going to do the 90s reboot of Twilight Zone.
Well, they keep doing... They did it in the 80s. They do it over and over again. They did the one with...
Jonathan Frakes is the one that I remember when I was a kid.
There's the...
Oh, I remember that.
Not Jordan Poole.
Oh, it is Jordan Peele, and he fucked it up because what he didn't understand, what Jordan Peele did not understand about the Twilight Zone, is that the Twilight Zone is like short stories. That's why Ray Bradbury wrote so many of them. They're like these little moments and little worlds, and they happen and then they're over. They are not epics. The structure of it is like incompatible with anything long term, long scale.
And that is what made it feel more like Outer Limits to me.
Yeah.
And also I think that the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone would have worked better if it had been the Jordan Peele Outer Limits.
Yeah.
Because it was more in context of that kind of thing. It is an attempt at a horror film, kind of building suspense and paying it off kind of thing. Twilight Zone was way more conceptual than that, which is why the episodes are only 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with regard to I almost said Outbreak, not Outbreak. That is a great movie though. Backrooms. There's like the depiction of the wife, in the with the red hair, and then like he puts the wig on, or he takes the hair and puts it on the Dutch woman, and is like,
what's her character called? I can't remember.
I'm gonna keep calling her the Dutch woman.
Yeah. Is it Emily?
It's Dr. Melfi.
That's
what I was calling her.
My favorite. I love Dr. Melfi.
And I was like, oh, so this is like, I got the sense that the main character was like abusing his wife.
I got the sense that they just had a falling out.
Oh, really?
Like, I got the sense that
the woman that is depicted, the redhead is depicted in the Backrooms, felt to me kind of like a Lynchian thing where she's just like this tortured woman
I
kind
of thought of this in a misogynistic way where it was just like she's a prop in his life. Like, he wants to be an architect, he wants to do all this stuff,
but she doesn't see it that way. He sees it as a prop. She sees it as like, oh, there are these like creatures.
I don't even think we see much of her.
Yeah, she's really only towards the end.
Well, and
it's like like you said, people acting like he doesn't understand adults. Like, that felt so thrown in there. It's like, oh yeah, there's a wife and he yells at her.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, I agree. That's why I'm saying I get a sense. I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Well, there were 2 other kind of homunculi in that scene as well that don't have a direct connection to the character.
True.
Oh, Mary Klein is her name.
Mary Klein, that's the Dutch woman's name.
Yeah. Renata Rienz.
Andre's looking at me like you shouldn't say the word Dutch that way. Like I'm saying it like a slur.
They are to me.
Yeah.
I have
not on my watch.
Abysmal language.
I have no precious relationship to the Dutch people.
This is Pride weekend, okay? There's no D and LGBTQ, okay?
Well, they keep adding letters. That's going to be the next one.
Dutch.
When I did go to Amsterdam, I don't think I met a straight person.
Yeah, you said that, but you were also there for a trans film festival.
Right.
Okay,
So-
maybe, yeah.
Sample bias. Yeah. I'm no scientist, but
Anyways, like, the reason I watched this movie, I'm not really a film scholar. In fact, like, I am actually abysmally under-filmed, if we can say that. For me, like, obviously people were like, oh, it's an architecture movie, you have to go see it because you're an architecture
yeah, no, that's why I pigeonholed you. I was like, oh, we can tokenize
And I think
hate.
it's not, like I said, I don't think it's really about architecture. I think architecture in here is like a metaphor for the human mind.
Obviously,
pretty
it's a metaphor, yeah. But what...
And the metaphor gets really mixed up because, like, why is there a secret, like, society that's in the Department of Energy? Like, you know, why is, you know, like you said...
That was a little half-baked, yeah.
That was, like, then they bring her out at the end and they ask her, like, isn't this amazing? Like, this thing that we discovered or whatever. And that doesn't make any sense. Just let it be. Why are they there?
Well, that was the biggest jump scare in the movie was Mark Duplass's face. I hate that guy. I don't know, he's an annoying face to me.
For me, I felt like the movie was kind of an interesting commentary on nostalgia. And I think it did this sort of Malgré Louis in terms of the... You know, they have these elements of these different films. Like, they have the two, like, teenagers who, like, get, like, destroyed in this slasher film type way, almost immediately.
That was super old school.
And then, you know, they pivot to this kind of ambient horror, lo-fi horror, and then they get to the end, and it's just very with all of the disjointed, freaky body horror situation.
I do think it's interesting that we're having sort of a resurgence of prestige films that are use use architecture as like vestibular to like nostalgia, like you said, or childhood, or the unconscious, or whatever.
I mean, it's also just, as a work of pastiche, I think it's really interesting.
I think it's a really interesting work of pastiche, and that's fundamentally what it is. You know, do you know Madeline Lane McKinley? She hosts this
I know
genre reveal podcast.
Yeah.
Like that's the genre reveal would be, this is a pastiche.
This is going to sound like so tinny and basic, but this really is a Frederick Jameson postmodern-ass film.
Okay.
Like, in terms of just, like, the different qualities of
I thought it was like weirdly modernist.
No, for me, it's like, I mean, do you know what movie it kind of reminded me of? And this is going to sound insane, but have you seen the movie Snake Eyes?
Oh, yeah. No, that's very good. Yes, absolutely.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because the thing is that the actual spaces in our real lives that are like this are the back hallways behind convention centers and like the service facilities inside of hotels and the way that the way that you get to where the employees are at an airport. It's like one of the things about this whole concept of, there's all these spaces that are creepy when you go in. I've worked in these spaces. I've worked in audiovisual. I've worked
when you were at JP Morgan Chase, that's what it was like.
Yeah, hooking up people's laptop computers and telephones and stuff. Often I would have to go into office buildings in the middle of the night when nobody was there and just like clean out desks.
Yeah.
Real creepy, gross shit.
Yeah, you would be played by like Robin Williams. That's crazy.
It's like Snake Eyes in that way, but it's also like Snake Eyes as like a pastiche of the 90s. Like the Snake Eyes
an imagined 90s.
That's exactly it.
And
it's not the 90s.
A California 90s.
It's not the 90s actually. It's an imagined 90s from someone whose only experience of the 90s is from Reddit.
Yeah, and they've also it's the California 90s is important because they spend a lot of time in their cars, which is a kind of back room in and of itself. I also, when I was thinking about like my back room that I jumped to, is I remember I went to my high school. I was very, very large. It was a school like 4,000 students. New Trier High School in Winnetka, Illinois. And one time my friend Kathleen and I were like after school, we went down to like the sub basement and we're just like, we weren't supposed to be there, but we were just like sort of exploring. And I was like, it's kind of beautiful in here. And she's like, why are you saying it's beautiful? And I was like, because it's like infrastructure, like everything, sometimes it feels like everything's falling apart, but this was built to last. Like this infrastructure.
Right, but the systems that produced it were not built to last.
No.
Exactly.
And they almost immediately vanished.
Well, that's the paradox of nostalgia, is that it's not actually,
it's the
was
simulacrum. It's the copy of the original that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Like.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that the 90s-ness of it is, Frederick Jameson makes this point about, novels and films that like it's not that they have like they're not from the 1940s or set in the 1940s. They have a 1940s-ness and a 1930s-ness, and this has a 1990s-ness.
And but it has a spatial politics, which because that's just the thing about you're saying about the Baudrillard and the copy of a non-existent thing. That's not true for other domains of experience. Recorded sound.
I'm saying it in the Jameson context where he talks about it in terms of architecture.
Okay.
He's talking about it in terms of trying to create a spatial experience that is nostalgic, like the 1990s postmodernism the 1980s postmodernism about which he was writing. Okay. Like these idealized big columns that are like sort of misremembered.
Like the things that like the return guys are into.
Yeah, not even that, like the actual high postmodernism of like Charles Moore, for example.
Okay.
But I feel like, that was kind of the point that he was making, is that, these kinds of aggregations of symbols that behave in this kind of spatialized way. But I mean, I also think that, what about it is scary is an interesting question, because obviously there's the one jump scare that like the guy gets swallowed by a door. And it's like, that's scary.
There's a few jump scares.
No, but that's like the one where it's like there's blood and everything.
Oh, okay.
Like the thing that is scary about it is, I think, a certain uncertainty. Mm-hmm. And where I think that comes from? Actually, it comes from being bored as a child.
Oh, which is like, I worry. I was thought of that the entire time. I was like, oh, this is like this is the only kind of movie you can have if you experience boredom. And I was like, oh God, what if we're not able to make this kind of movie in the future because kids won't know what it's like to be bored?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking a lot of the time too. And it's also just like, when you are bored and you're in a space like waiting for the fucking line to the bathroom at the mall.
The SpongeBob episode where he's waiting for the bus and
exactly. Like your mind sort of just like, you have to make something up to keep yourself preoccupied.
Back in the day when Facebook first became like a thing, there used to be all these groups you could join that were like kids who used to race raindrops on the car window. Like stuff like that. Like,
wow, I used to do that.
Yeah, I did that too. Or like, kids who like played with roly-polies or whatever.
And you used to make fun of them, but now like it's over.
Yeah,
I think the roly-poly is probably extinct at this point. I
haven't seen a roly-poly. I also associate roly-polies with my mom's office in Skokie, where it's a therapist's office. I'm just like, oh yeah, no, that's like, yeah, that's
arthropods in general are dying out.
Yeah. The roly-polies.
I saw the TV Glow, which came out a few years ago, was another one that was like you say, 90s ness, right? Like not anybody's actual experience of the 90s, but a kind of simulacra. Mm-hmm. And it does also have this feeling of the way that you kind of project the inner, nightmarish horror of living in the suburbs onto the environment of the suburbs when the environment itself is incredibly mundane and inert.
Mm-hmm. See, this is why I don't fuck with spatiality and spaces and places, and I'm a sound girl, because like you're like, oh no, it's an imagined copy, it never actually exist, and we'll never experience it again. And it's like, haha, a recorded sound, you can listen to it over and over again.
Yeah,
the funny thing is that like I'm kind of in the middle of that because I studied acoustics.
I know,
and I studied sound in the built environment.
I judge you for picking the dark side.
No, I mean I was a music major. I don't really know what you mean. So, anyways, for me the movie it's kind of funny that it's made by like a really young guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, like Andre said though, it's like made by a machine,
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean conceptually.
Oh, okay.
Not like
the meta narrative of it being made by a young guy is interesting. Yes,
I feel like that's interesting.
But it was written by a guy who's been working in TV since 2013.
Which is what that felt very. Yeah.
I know, but like his film, like the Kane Parsons YouTube
but
shorts
it also
and films.
felt
But those are important. You can't just that. Like that is like where this comes from. Like, it is like an internet subculture. It is like it's a 1990s-ness, and it's an online-ness also. And so it communicates, it talks out of both sides of its mouth to people who are like from a sort of more spatialized past, and people whose like understanding of the spatialized phenomenon is mediated by like several layers of online-ness.
Which is the unconsciousness in a nutshell, right?
It's a digital unconscious.
Yeah, I think that's right.
In a way that's not AI.
Yeah, no, it's actually, in that sense, it's kind of an anti-AI movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It's anti-AI, which is ironic considering how it fetishizes analog. And or not ironic, which is fitting.
It is, I was going to say, it's ironic.
Ironic, more Setian irony. And I think that, I don't know, do you think there's a pathos to it, though, that sort of undercuts some of the more psychoanalytical, aesthetic?
I don't know. I think it tries. I don't think it has the intellectual chutzpah to interrogate some of those things And so, like I said,
Kate
it becomes
Parsons,
an aesthetic.
Kate Wagner thinks you're dumb.
I don't think he's dumb, actually. I actually think this is a really clever movie. I just think that that's not the movie's job. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, because the movie is working in all of these mixed modes, like, if it was going to, like, quote-unquote, take it more seriously, then it would be a completely different movie. But you can't keep the sort of tropeness of the movie.
It's also felt very, to go back to Andre's point about TV, it felt kind of like prestige TV, though. It felt like a limited series. Not so much TV, but like a limited series, like Sharp Objects or something like that.
Well, they built all these sets.
Which I love. I love sets.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
You know.
The sets are great.
The sets are
And they're
amazing.
climbing on the sets.
I hope
They're touching the sets.
If anything, if this is Oscar worthy for anything, I hope it's for those sets. I guess.
Yeah, that's like mostly practical effects, except for like the CGI pirate guy.
Which is so tastefully done.
Yeah.
Actually, that to me was the realest part of the movie.
When he bites him?
Yes. Yeah. Well, no, both, just that entire structure, just like this pirate guy, and it's like, oh God, like.
It's like all the humiliating things in his life.
Jobs are humiliating. It's humiliating to have a job.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
That was very good. That was very real. I felt that in my bones.
Architecturally, it's kind of interesting. Like, we're talking about the suburbs, and you were talking about the infrastructure of the suburbs, and it's like, the thing is that all of these buildings, like, especially these, like, suburban strip malls from the 1990s, which is kind of a specific typology of building, they're bigger than they need to be. Like, that's fundamental to how they are. Like, part of the reason, like, so many of them are vacant is because, like, storefront retail has shrunk.
Well, yeah, to say the least. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, within the actual, like, big box store, even. Like, there are a couple exceptions, Costco, Home Depot, what have you, but new strip malls are significantly smaller in size and scope than the 1990s, for obvious, like, economic reasons.
Yeah, and technological reasons.
And one thing that they've changed, right, is, like, getting rid of the old enclosed mall that's in the style of, like, the 19th century French arcades and going to these giant parking lots surrounded by enclosed boutiques.
I was thinking about, speaking of arcades, I was thinking, as I often am, about Roland Barthes. And I was thinking about how he would not be able to comprehend this film.
That's really funny.
I don't think he would, like, smartest guy in the world, my intellectual role model, icon in all ways. I think he would be like, oh God, I gotta go pick up my laundry. He would not understand. Yeah. Or Benjamin. Benjamin would get it.
Benjamin would totally get it.
He would understand immediately.
He would understand this immediately.
Did I just fuck up again? I always do this with Benjamin and Bart. Benjamin is the Arcades Project.
Yeah.
But Roland Barthes also did talk about arcades.
Yeah, briefly. And I think mythologies.
Yes. So I'm not insane. Both are right. Okay.
Anne Freeberg brought up both of them, actually, in Window Shopping to talk about how the arcades in France in the 19th century were the thing that taught people how to create cinema.
That's interesting.
Because it was a place where you could go and you could be stimulated by all of these little bite-sized experiences, right? You go and you look through the window and you see a little taste of spectacle, right? And so it naturally follows then, like in any town in America, where do you put the movie theater? You put it at the mall.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess that's also sort of like Adorno and the leitmotif in a sort of parallel way.
How so with the leitmotif?
No. Just saying that, like, introducing, like, this structure, like, of course, this is a sound structure and not a spatial structure that, like, prepares the mind for, like, a mass-produced phenomenon.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
But anyways, like, I was always thinking about that.
I think
he's wrong.
That there's a temptation to say that this is a thing that is like the result of like as soon as we built shopping malls and office buildings and stuff in the 1960s and 70s, they started to decay, right? Like these were permanent structures for a society that was not really suited for anything permanent. And so, you know, they were inevitably going to outlive their usefulness.
I'm not sure that's true.
Well,
I think
that's what I'm saying. This isn't what's going on. In fact, this kind of like panic over the like mundane details of repeated spatial dimensions, it goes back way farther than that. And like H.P. Lovecraft, right? Dreams of the Witch House, right? Like
it's constitutive of the Gothic.
Yeah,
it's I thought was thinking about
the
that.
terror of just what an attic is. An attic is just a room that's scary.
Or the California Gothic, right?
I see.
Sorry,
I'm not sure I agree with that either. But
well, I don't think I agree with what I just said either. Actually, because which is something I often do in my writing, and my advisor hates it, is where you is because it's a misunderstanding of Gothic.
I was just gonna say
it's like a 20-year-old concept of what the Gothic is. Yeah, it's a misunderstood. Yeah, but
I feel
it doesn't help that they call buildings like the one we're in Gothic.
This is an American Foursquare.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
We're all Gothic maxing. No, I feel like the
we're all trying to grab goth cred.
I only started listening to The Cure when I was like 21.
That's pathetic. You should feel bad.
I know, man.
I bought a mixed CD or mixed tape at the thrift store when I was in junior high. That was just like someone had like taken from the radio and put on a tape a bunch of Cure songs, and I was like, yeah, killing an Arab. I'm 12 years old and I know what this song is about.
I was listening to My Chemical Romance when I was 12.
What did you say?
I was listening to My Chemical Romance when I was 12.
Oh, wow. That's also okay. That's its own kind of cred.
But mostly I was playing the violin in the orchestra and listening to some bullshit about that. But anyways, like I feel like I have some other notes about this movie. One thing I want to point out that I think is really important that we haven't talked about is the influence of video games.
Yeah, which I can't really speak to because I don't play video games.
No, but you and I after we watched the movie, I showed you a video about myhouse.wad.
That's right.
The Doom level.
Yeah, we watched the video about and the guy who created Dune played it.
John Carmack, the guy who created Doom. Yeah, the idea of this thing, dear listener, is that there was a video game in the early 90s called Doom. Mm-hmm. And in Doom, you, as a first-person perspective, are wandering around in a three-dimensional space. And, there are all kinds of limits to the way that it's able to render space, which shapes what kind of environments you can spend time in. And then as time went by, new games added new technologies that made it closer to the way that our actual world works. But the original Doom, which was an iteration on Wolfenstein 3D, had enormous restrictions on things like you couldn't have one space be above another space. You couldn't have.
Were they arbitrary?
They weren't arbitrary. It's like related to the actual architecture of game design.
Yeah, the engine itself has limitations on how it renders space.
I get it.
And so this person created a custom homemade level, which custom levels for Doom are called WAD files. And so they made it based on their own house. And then when you go and you play it, you find yourself sort of sinking into a strange nightmare wherein this house is devolving into a inexplicable.
So it's like House of Leaves, basically.
Well, yeah.
You talked about that, yeah.
Yeah, in the video, they bring up House of Leaves and like the Third Policeman and other things.
Oh, I love the Third Policeman.
I love the Third Policeman.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Flann O'Brien's great.
Yeah.
And I think Flann O'Brien's Third Police, I like it because it like does the terrifying thing of people like being inside the walls while also still being funny throughout.
Which is different from something like Remainder, right,
Yeah.
by Tom McCarthy, which is like about the bleakness that comes from that rigidity.
I want to point out though that Parsons is influenced by a very specific game, which is Portal. Mm-hmm. And that is a game I know very well because I played it obsessively when I was in high school.
Okay.
Because a girl I was in love with was really into it, and so I had to beat it, and it's actually a really difficult game. Like, Portal is so hard, and then Portal 2 is, like, also really hard, especially if you suck ass at video games like me.
Portal 2 is a lot of fun. It's very funny. It's got great voice acting.
It's very funny. But Portal, like, the idea of Portal, basically, is that, like, you open up a portal to jump between spaces, and it's, like, a very, like, spatialized, it's kind of nauseating game. Yeah. Some of the lingo around, like, the voice rooms, or the back rooms, like, it's video game like clipped into the bathrooms, and like no clipping means like you found a glitch in the game and are somehow and it's like under the underbelly of whatever the engine generates, and like Portal what the idea of Portal was to sort of recreate that phenomenon in like a sort of productive way.
To give you access to spaces where it feels like you're not supposed to have access to them.
Yeah, basically, but also just like bend and like disorient the notion of space itself. Like those passages in Portal, like they are completely spatially disorienting. I mean, you can open a portal into a ceiling, into a floor, and you're in a totally different room. You turn around, like it is really hard to go back and forth.
Well, I think one thing that video games and cinema have in common is that they're trying to get you to experience space as something that happens to you, not something that you something that you're vulnerable
Well,
to,
not all,
susceptible to.
not all films have the same relationship to space.
I know. I'm just saying. Yes, that's true. I'm talking about these kinds of movies, though. I'm talking
Okay,
about
well
backrooms and portals.
then what is this kind of movie? Like, if we're looking at it, say, for example, from a Deleuze Cinema 1, Cinema 2, movement image, time image thing, then, like, this is a movie that I think it is asking you to be, like, Cinema 1, movement image. Like,
it's trying.
You're looking through a window into a space that's supposed to make sense, people doing actions that are supposed to matter. It's linear, right? Mm-hmm. Time moves in a comprehensible way.
Yeah.
And we aren't spending a lot of time in people's like memories or hallucinations. Like the terror of it is that the things that they are experiencing are real.
Right. It's the opposite of a dream or memory play.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like Tennessee Williams
it
would never.
Spatializes and corrupts those ideas, though.
How do you mean?
Like, in terms of like the hallucination or like the at the end, like the freaky people and stuff.
Yeah, like what if your memory were a place you could actually walk around in? It would be very scary.
As distorted and deleterious as your memories
actually are.
It's also so 2020s. Like it reminds me in that sense of like Beau is Afraid. Like what if you had an anxiety disorder, but everything you were anxious about, you were right to be anxious about. Like what if like that's what like that's
I feel like this is a little more surreal than that though.
Yeah, this is more surreal than that, which obviously
I kind of liked. I wish it wasn't as convoluted. I wish there wasn't like a Department of Energy subplot.
Yeah, that kind of undid it for me a little bit.
It totally undid it. It's just like, wow, this is like a horror movie about the unconscious.
Yeah, this is
about like misremembering everyone's your life. Yeah, and like being able to like handle the memories that you already have.
Well, you see, if what this movie is like this place is the internet, right? Mm-hmm. Then it makes sense that it takes place in the year 1990, which we see the year on the missing poster at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Well, it's also
Then like what we're seeing among these people is they're visiting Usenet. They are, they are just now on like Prodigy or CompuServe. It's the beginning of the internet, and it is immediately killing people.
Yeah.
And so
that's funny. Yeah.
Like, and what is the internet? The internet is a place where you don't have to fix what is wrong with your shitty personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just go into this infinite space and just eat people.
Yeah. And just ruin people's lives even.
Oh, trust me.
It transforms people away from being human into these like artificial monstrosities that exist only in virtual space. Mm-hmm. And then the human part gets destroyed and left behind.
Right, which I think with the introduction of the energy department, then that aspect of it goes away.
Well, no, the energy department, the U.S. government created the internet.
Yeah, but I don't think this is like something that, like, I think we have to do a little bit of Occam's razor here in remembering that this guy is like, 24 years old?
I think he's younger than that.
Yeah, he's not talking about Usenet. Like,
he is 21.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, no, he's foreign-brained. Yeah, like,
I agree.
He grew up with, like, he didn't even grow up with, like, something awful.
I also kept thinking when I was watching it, I was like, I guess... who said that the internet is it Donald Rumsfeld, R.I.P. Who said
your
the internet
alumni
and also Taos president
Tausino. That's right.
A noted Tausino, Donald Rumsfeld once said that the internet is a series of tubes, and I was like, I wonder if he would see this movie and be like, it's a series of rooms, because it also isn't really a series of rooms. It's the way you experience concepts of space as you come to confront the fact of...
It wasn't Rumsfeld, it was the senator from Alaska.
Oh, it was. Never mind. I don't know who that is.
Ted something.
Yeah, it's more conceptual.
Some guy.
Saying the internet is a series of rooms is to do...
The internet isn't a truck that you can just dump things on. It's a series of tubes.
I think that, like, this world is terrifying because it's infinitely, like... It can infinitely proliferate.
Were you scared of No. Were there moments where you were scared of them?
Yeah, me too. It can be. Yeah, I wrote this. It's endlessly like reproducible.
Yeah.
But I think that it's interesting that this takes on a sort of vernacular, like it's vernacular architecture. It's not
Yeah. Well, again, it's vestibular. That's what I'm saying. It's vestibular to the unconscious. It's not actually about architecture.
No, the sighting is like of the big box store. I think is important because like vernacular architecture itself is it's constantly like being reproduced in like an identical series.
Mm-hmm.
And like there are a million different places that look like that, and that's actually part of like the universality of the architecture. I think is like part of like how the film communicates.
Right. Like those rooms could be in China. They could be in the United States.
But in some ways, like. It can only be in Some of them can really only be in the United States.
Some of them, yeah.
Recently, Pizza Hut has decided to go and reopen some of their old stores in the old style.
In the hat buildings.
Right, the buildings that look like they're wearing a big red hat. These, like, classic buffet Pizza Hut restaurants, right?
You used to go when you were a kid, you said.
Of course. I think a lot of people did. And they are not building them in cities you have heard of. And the reason is... The buildings that were in cities you've heard of have all been torn down or turned into banks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you see all these pictures on the internet of like, I know what you are, and it's a building that is shaped like a Pizza Hut, but it's like
the building as sign. That's right. Like the fundamental postmodern thing about architecture.
But the reason they were able to go into these like small towns in rural Wisconsin, like a town that is like 50 miles from the closest town that would be in the top 20 towns in Wisconsin.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Like, that's how isolated these places are. But they went there and they reopened because those places are the only places that have been empty for the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. Right? If you were anywhere near capital, they used that space for something else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so they're like, okay, we're going to go and rebuild exclusively in the parts of America that have been completely abandoned by humanity.
That were never suburbanized.
Right.
I've been having kind of a fun game with myself where I wander around the neighborhood and I shout backrooms every time I see a backroom, like the Leona's that's on Sheridan that's all closed down.
That's getting torn down and replaced with a block of flats.
Yeah. Showing up at your friend's housewarming party and screaming backrooms.
The Regal's North on Western, the movie theater, that's all back rooms.
Yeah, it's all back rooms all the way down.
Movie theaters are
exactly.
They are very back rooms.
Experience when I was walking out of the movie.
Yeah, and I think it's because like there's so much like unintentional space in a movie theater, especially in in a multiplex.
Oh yeah.
In a multiplex, you've got like the movie theater in our hometown in Greenville, South Carolina. It was the Regal Hollywood 20. Mm-hmm. 20 screens. All right. Now, how do you put 20 movie theater screens in a building? By having tons of undifferentiated hallways.
Yeah.
Right. And those undifferentiated hallways are scary.
Yeah.
They are scary.
And they're scary in hotels. And they're scary in museums.
They're scary in hotels, dog.
Yeah. Like, I've spent so much time in these, like, places where, like, McCormick Place or, like, the Convention Center in Las Vegas. Place scary. Yeah, or Merchandise Mart.
Can we talk about this also in a concept that we've discussed in the podcast before that I'm obsessed with my idea of thick spaces as opposed to thin spaces? Right. Are backrooms, I think backrooms are thick places, right? They're like abyssal.
Right. A thin place, the archetypal one is like Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A place where when you go there, it feels like, oh, there are spirits next to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you go to a place like, say, a airport in a town that isn't as big as it used to be.
Or like,
and it feels like, ooh.
It's junk space.
So
I'm very far from God here.
So I want to think about backrooms in terms of thick places. And like, I think about like sort of the aesthetics of emotion in the film. And I think thick is a term for that.
There's a story that has been told a lot about one of my favorite filmmakers that we've talked about on this show, Andrei Tarkovsky, and we briefly mentioned it on the Sculpting in Time episode. But he gets brought when he visits America to Monument Valley, and he says, "You make westerns here, you should be making movies about God here."
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, if you go into most of the buildings in America, you think, "Oh, we should be making back rooms here." Right? Because they are a space that implies a story. And the story that it implies is you have been abandoned by God. This is a place where every inch of it is the result of human being action without human being ideology. Right? We don't want to do anything with this place. We are building it. We don't have a reason. Like, maybe we had a reason before. We don't have one now. The institutions that used to exist that were responsible for like giving these buildings purpose, right? Those institutions are gone, right? A community college that shuts down.
Oh God, what's a thick place? UNM Taos. UNM Taos is they spent $1 zillion building these brand new buildings.
It's a whole college campus in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere.
Middle of fucking nowhere, and you go to the campus.
No one is ever there.
No one is ever there. You go into the library. There's like 5 books. There's like maybe 1 staff. it's crazy, and it's like, why did you build all this? It doesn't make any sense.
The answer is that they have money because this is where nuclear weapons are made, and so they have to do stuff with it.
Yeah.
You know, when I taught at UNM Los Lunas in Valencia, right?
No, it was UNM Valencia in Los Lunas.
Whatever. It's the community college where they train the prison guards for the Los Lunas Penitentiary.
Yeah.
And
thick place.
Have you guys read Rem Koolhaas, which is his little book Junk Space?
No, I should.
This is a great book. I pulled up some of the like, I have some notes on this that I pulled up. But he says, like, if space junk is the human debris that litters the universe, junk space is the residue mankind leaves on the planet. The build, more about that later. Product of modernization is not modern architecture, but junk space. Junk space is what remains after modernization has run its course, or more precisely, what coagulates while modernization is in progress. It's fallout.
I'm sorry, can I ask real quick? Is that 2 words or one word?
One word.
Perfect.
But anyways, there's a line in here about continuity that I think is so great. Continuity is the essence of junk space. It exploits any invention that enables expansion, deploys the infrastructure of seamlessness, escalator, air conditioning, sprinkler, fire shutter, hot air curtain. It is always interior, so extensive that you rarely perceive limits. It promotes disorientation by any means, by the mirror, the polish, and the echo.
So it reminds me, so it's like, as Derek Zoolander would say, continuity is the essence of wetness. Yes. Okay, thank you for listening.
well, that's not nothing.
That's a really
It's kind of not nothing.
That's a really relevant movie.
I was saying it as a joke, but I think it's real.
No, but it's like the civilization and its discontents, right? The oceanic feeling.
Yeah.
The thing that is gross and scary about these places is it feels like this big thing that you cannot be a part of.
It's the Burkean Sublime Dawg. It's the pain and
Burkean Sublime Dawg. That's what we're going to name the episode.
It's the pain and danger.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
You're in danger, girl.
It's the light and shadow.
Yeah.
It's the... You know, in this case, it's actually not about, like, the monumentality of human labor. It's actually about the, like, complete frictionlessness of mass production. But that is also a form of sort of industrial sublime.
I also was thinking about, like, if this... Like, there's something so unwet. Even though they go to, like, those pools and stuff, this is, like, not like a wet movie.
The pool thing is so funny because that's obviously, like, a reference to a specific fucking image that goes around the internet of, like, the pool back rooms.
Right.
That was, like, if you were on TikTok, like, 3 years ago, which I was and I'm not anymore, like, there was, like, all kinds of TikToks that were basically like this, like, these, like, Blender rendered 3D pools that are, like, Escher-esque.
Yeah. No, I was, yeah.
And it's like, some of this feels like a little wink, nudge,
that's
nudge to the internet.
Like fan service for
but
people who like this.
Definitely.
That's my favorite back room.
There are sort of 2 layers here when it comes to nostalgia, I think. There's the way in which this is a movie that's kind of made for millennials like us who remember that in the 90s they were shutting everything down, right? Because the Cold War ended, you didn't have to like provide things for your citizens anymore.
Yeah.
And so we shut everything down, and now there are all these empty buildings everywhere.
That's not really... We shut that stuff down mostly in, like, in the 2000s. Like,
some of that stuff started in the 80s under Reagan.
it depends, though. Like, it means, like, it depends on the typology of the building. Like, yes, like, the malls of, like, the 60s and 70s had begun to decay in the 80s, but that was mostly due to urbanistic changes that, like, were very much they were more preference to bigger malls further away, like, that are more sort of self-contained urbanistic things. But, like, in the 1990s, this was, like, the height of, like, the big box era. You had this was, like, actually the height of, like, suburban retail in terms of, like, just the amount of square footage,
like
being produced and
store.
consumed. Like, you had, you know, all different typologies had been achieved at this point. Like, you had, like you were saying, the arcade style mall, which, like, had reached, like, really its most Baroque architecture in the 1990s. Really kind of mannerism, but that's not important.
I wonder if they thought about calling the movie Bed Bath & Beyond, but go on.
That's good. But also, like, you know, by that point you had already seen the big box store, which was like a lesser or like sort of sub-tier building type in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. Since the motor court era of, like, this kind of, like, orientation, you start to see them really accumulate huge amounts of square footage.
The giant Barnes & Noble, the giant Best Buy.
Yeah.
I love a giant Barnes & Noble.
These are 1990s institutions.
Yes.
Like, and then it all dies because the internet.
Right. It
the
dies
internet.
like overnight.
Yeah.
It's not even,
But it was...
And we lived through that.
It was villainized at the time, right? Like, You've Got Mail is this comedy, this, like, Ernst Lubitsch style romantic comedy that's about how evil it is to have a big building where you encourage people to buy books.
His name was Joe Fox, I think, in that movie. Right?
I feel
And Barnes and Noble's all gone, and the booksellers are back.
Except for there's Barnes and Noble in the bank in Wicker Park now.
there's like
That's romantasy stuff though. That's because of romantasy TikTok that they're now doing that again.
One thing that I think is, they're in some ways it's not really like an anti-consumption type movie though.
I don't think so at all. No,
but that's just the pervading '90s sentiment at that time.
But I really like actually. I appreciated that as someone who, as we've talked in this episode on this show, I don't fuck with Buddhism, but I do fuck with Shintoism. I was like, there's like a lot of thingness here that I'm really interested in, and it's not like anti-things. It's anti the arbitrary or pointless or pre-programmed way we're forced to engage with things.
Well, yeah, in something like a Hayao Miyazaki movie, you see, like, if people treat spaces and things with the kind of disrespect and, casual disregard that Americans use for everything that they encounter, then you punish them, right? It happens at the beginning of Spirited Away, right? Yeah. These people enter this place, which is like a back rooms, which is an abandoned theme park, right?
Yeah.
And they start treating it like it's their own thing to do whatever they want with, and they immediately get punished.
Yeah, no, and it's also Heideggerian too, where it's like, no, you can have the things. The thingness is fine. You just have to do it in a way that is like full and in respect to the world,
Okay,
yeah, whatever. Sorry. I know it's Heidegger is
me and Heidegger are off.
I didn't say. I'm just saying that he has a relationship to this film.
That's
I'm not
true.
saying he's
That's
good
true.
or bad.
I agree. The film Heideggerian. That's an interesting question. Let me circle back to that later.
Okay, I think I'm right.
So earlier,
I think it is, but like in a kind of roundabout.
Yeah,
it is on dwelling.
It's what? It's on dwelling, yeah.
We are certainly dwelling. Not like in the way he was thinking.
Certainly dwelling.
No, but Adorno said that we can't even dwell.
No, that's more I was just gonna bring this up because like that's more what's going on here. Adorno would be it's like, I don't know what Bart or Benjamin would say. It's like Adorno knows what he would say about
there's
this
actually
building.
this book by this guy named Thomas Tweed called Crossing and Dwelling that I read in like a religious studies seminar when I was in college, and we all hated this book and made fun of it all the time because basically he's just like, what religion is crossing and then dwelling and then crossing again. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Get that.
But then he just says it over and over again.
I love that.
And it was like, we hated it. It was just such a, like, it was like, okay, we get it. We understand.
It's like the album that has one single, and then you listen to the album tracks, and you're like, so you just had the one song,
This is like what one time I
feel about Heidegger.
One time I walked in on my dad listening to the MC Hammer album. And I was like, what are you doing? Why do you even own this? This is like in like 2004, too. Like, I was like, what are you doing?
I do remember how shallow that record was.
It's not. It does not. He was like, I like it. He's like, I like it. It's good dance music. I'm washing dishes, whatever.
Are you going to say this about Philip Glass, too? Or,
there exist Polaroids that my mother took at an MC Hammer concert in 1990.
In Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the concept of going to an MC Hammer concert in Columbia, South Carolina. That is actually it crosses and dwells and then crosses back over into being a thin place.
Dude, I was in Slovenia, and there's like this haunted medieval town in Slovenia that I'm obsessed with. That's like I have tattoos of everywhere, like, and they had like a fucking show where like the rapper Lil Durk was there, and it's just like, what is he doing there?
That's like a very people talk about that in Eastern Europe a lot, like there's like micro celebs that like we would not even consider to be like relevant at all.
All right, on the subject of back rooms, I did go to a live concert in an abandoned mall in my senior year of high school. It was I think what was the name of the place? McAllister Place was the name of the mall in Greenville, South Carolina, and the mall was dead. Not one store still in business. And I saw Space Hog came and performed in a dead mall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the dead mall discourse is like
Space Hog. That's an interesting name for
Space Hog
to perform in that space, and their band is called Space Hogs. A little on the nose.
I love the 90s as a period of architecture because it was so bizarre. Because at that point there were just no like unifying movement. It was like postmodernism was kind of done, but there was no real sort of after. That was also when they started doing like really huge kind of pan cultural critiques of suburbia, like writ large. in music and film.
I mean, I guess that's sort of one of the things that's brought up in I Saw the TV Glow, right?
Yeah.
Is that in the 90s is when people start to point at suburbia as being
A problem.
the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And architecture, like this was like really like a kind of low period for architecture, because at this stage of postmodernism, it really was like the theme parkification of everything. This was the Rainforest Cafe type situation,
Right.
But like extrapolate that on like to an entire mall, like extrapolate that onto a bank, like everything.
Well,
was
because they kept trying to
ridiculous.
figure out ways to create this kind of spatial spectacle on smaller and smaller budgets.
Yeah.
And at smaller and smaller scales, so that they could expand it to the infinity, which is American suburban life.
I think the chain restaurants of the 1990s, like Planet Hollywood,
Or Olive Garden.
no, that's a little earlier, but like Planet, like the themed restaurants, Planet Hollywood, Rainforest Cafe, like there are a few others. Like
You don't consider Olive Garden to be a theme?
no, there's just different types of theming.
Because
That kind of themed restaurant goes back to the 1970s and the fern
it always
bars.
felt so like theatrical.
But these are more like, I guess we can call them like theme parked restaurants.
Okay.
Like, because like they are immersive experiences. Like they have, I don't know if you've been to a Planet Hollywood. It's like a museum of like all of like,
Right, yeah,
all the memorabilia. Like in Rainforest Cafe is like an immersive, like, this was before Instagram, but it would have been Instagrammable. Where it was just like you were trying to recreate a theme park in the interior at the smallest scale and with the cheapest budget possible.
Right. It's like the restaurant at the theme park where they try to make the restaurant like the theme park
Yeah,
is.
exactly. But
I have another thick place. Another thick place I thought of is that, so if you go to a Hyatt hotel, sometimes they'll have these restaurants in the hotel, and it's called the Placery. And my favorite,
Placery.
it's called the Placery.
Okay.
And my favorite thing about it, and I always notice this, if you go in the elevator, it'll have like a little ad for, come dine at the Placery. And it notes that it's like pleasant environment, and it says that our ingredients are thoughtfully sourced.
Not locally.
Not locally, not ethically.
Not organically.
We thought about it and we sourced them. And I just think it's so funny. And I think one thing that's really important to thick places is how mealy mouthed they are. What you were saying about talking about both sides of your mouth, like there has to be a sort of manipulation already.
Clark is doing it because he's like dressing up as a pirate and trying to sell furniture.
Well, yeah, because he's trying to win at capitalism. Yeah.
And in that way, it has something in common with the Chair Company, which we watched earlier.
It does have a lot in common with the
that's
Chair
a really
Company.
good point.
And
Yeah.
the Chair Company is about this fight inside the brain of the
Ron.
functionaries, the
Yeah.
factotums that actually produce these places and things, because they have to pretend that the thing that they are doing matters while making material choices constantly that are face to face with the fact that none of it will ever matter.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's also like what I always tell my students when they're working on like writing instructions for use. I'm like, I know this seems like a really easy thing to ask ChatGPT to do, but actually, if you write an instruction for use for like a children's toy or a food product or something, and you fuck it up, you fucked up, and you're liable, and you're culpable for that, and someone could die. You know,
Right,
So when
like
you're
if you put the cooking instructions on something and it's like 1 minute not long enough and everybody gets botulism.
Yeah, no, it's like the writing instructions for use are very important, and there's like ways to do them well and ways to do them badly. Most people do them badly. IKEA is really good at it.
IKEA is really good at it.
They're like kind of the gold standard.
Yeah.
But people used to make fun of how bad they were at it.
No, that was before, I think that was really just the beginning of like the whole.
They didn't
iron furniture.
understand
They didn't
it
understand
at
how to
all.
build a. They didn't know.
Yeah,
it was-
they didn't
Yeah,
understand
IKEA
the
effectively
system.
taught us how to read those
Exactly,
diagrams.
Which is like, the gold standard. I think I told you this, that I used to like do some technical writing because I used to
Yeah.
work at a speaker company.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah.
And it's
King
like-
Arthur also is good at it.
It was like so frustrating because like you had this machine that's like not that complicated in theory, which is like you turn on a fucking speaker. But in fact, there's like there's like, this is a Bluetooth speaker. So then you have to go through the Bluetooth menu. Then you have to go through like, is it waterproof? It was waterproof. So then you have to be like, how waterproof
This is
it? Like,
why, in order to solve a problem first, we always say you have to empathize with the problem, which is actually not. It's kind of bad language because you're not really empathizing with the problem. You're empathizing with the user's experience
Exactly.
of the problem.
Yeah.
And so that's why you have to spend like, before you can even begin ideating, you have to like really understand, okay, where am I first? Okay, I walk into the room, I see the speaker, I walk over to like you have to take in all those steps prior to even just pressing the button. You know, like it's weird. Depending on the object, obviously.
And it's in direct conflict with what so much of capital is trying to have our lives be, which is for people to be atomized and to never relate to anyone else's experience.
I love, there's this part in a Tana French book, I can't remember which one it is, where this guy thinks that there's some kind of animal in his attic. And so he's like on internet forums being like, I think there's this animal. It might be like a squirrel. I think it might be a badger. I need help, getting it out. And so he's talking to people on the forum and they're like, well, if it's a badger, mate, you might try blah, 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 blah. You might try this. And then over time emerges that actually it's a guy is living in his attic and has been living in his attic.
It's not a badger.
It's this great... It's a
badger
great
is a kind
internet,
of guy.
like this is legit internet gothic. Like that was internet gothic happening in that part of the book. It always sticks with me. It's like really chilling. Yeah.
The other internet thing that I thought about watching this, not a Backrooms thing, was Grover House.
I was literally just about to bring that up.
What is Grover House? I don't know.
Oh my god, she doesn't know what Grover House is. Grover House is like, this is something awful thread from, I don't know when it's from, like what, 2009 or something?
It's pretty old by internet standards.
Yeah, and anyways, like this guy, like he posts like a picture of his house that he built himself.
Right.
And it is the least up to code house anyone has ever made.
He has done every single thing you can do in the context of building a boring house in the suburbs.
Wrong.
But done
That's
it wrong.
Hilarious.
It is like, yeah.
That's
and, like,
so funny.
I grew up in a house in Simpsonville, South Carolina, that was built very poorly.
Yes, and your dad had to fix a bunch of stuff in it.
Yes, and so we move in when I'm like 10 years old, and it is still not worth very much money. Right, it is still like I think less than $150,000.
Oh wow!
Which is like that's
basically
so
pennies right
that's
now.
essentially a refrigerator box.
Especially because like Simpsonville is like a viable
Yeah,
suburb.
they have an IMAX movie theater now.
Right,
When
like,
I
that's
moved
crazy.
there in the 90s, they had one grocery store and a hotel and a Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
And so
that's crazy.
the place, it had one room that was unfinished. The windows didn't like fit into the window holes in the walls. Everything about the place from
Our house in Taos was like that too.
well, yeah, because they're cheaply made for poor people.
Yeah.
Right? Like the house we had in Taos was made for like a guy and his wife and the guy worked in the gas company 50 years ago. He worked for the like local gas company in the 70s. And so they didn't have any money, and the whole house was built with the stuff that you use to like build trailer homes, right?
But it had the thing that was so sweet about it is they had a daughter and they had a little playhouse for the daughter that had working lights.
Yeah, because the guy was an electrician and a gas guy, and
was
so
really
he built
sweet.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
When you are in those environments, like every place you go is poorly made, and you sort of get this feeling, like the thing we were talking about when we were talking about minimum moralia, which is like everything in the world is telling you, fuck you, I hope you die, your life doesn't matter, everything that you experience sucks on purpose because fuck you.
Yeah.
And so, like, Grover House is like, we've taken that environment, that experience, and we've exaggerated it to the point where it doesn't even work anymore.
There's also a kind of scholar who will like achieve, or just a regular writer, like nonfiction writer or whatever, essayist, who will, a political commentator, will achieve the most success they could possibly succeed. And instead of being like grateful or humble or do what you would do, and if you were a good person, they just like are like, and fuck you. Like John Gans, it's like,
Oh, John Gans is so angry.
Yeah,
it's like he's such a good writer, like in terms of like as a stylist.
He's
and,
a
like,
stylist. He's an excellent writer.
and it's just like, why are you so fucking angry?
Yeah,
dude?
and I was thinking about like there's people like that, like that's what it like always. That's why whenever I meet people like that, it feels so strange. Like that's not how you're supposed to behave. Yeah, but like because that's how corporations behave.
You
You're
have
not supposed
to
to act
control
like
you have to control your anger in a way that is productive. Mm-hmm. You can
that.
be
Did you learn that in Dick
DBT
and Balls therapy?
Yeah. Dick and Balls therapy. Mm-hmm. It's more Dick and Balls therapy is more about like putting some space in between the emotion and your action, which is really important for me because like my action is like breaking down and crying as soon as possible. So that's why I'm in there. I don't know if you've read The Poetics of Space.
We discussed before we were going to do this episode that we were definitely going to discuss Bachelor and the Poetics of Space.
Andre was like, we should have her read Poetics of Space or reread it and talk about it with us. And I was like, no, we should talk about something like super.
I don't want to go into it because I haven't read that book in like 10 years.
I haven't read it in a while either. As I said, I'm like, weirdly like homophobic against space. Like I don't like space. I don't like thinking about objects.
Just keep it away from my children.
Keep it away from my children.
Sound needs space to exist. It doesn't
I understand.
Exist in
I'm
a
aware.
vacuum.
I'm aware of Gashia Usmanian's work. I'm familiar
That's
with all
just
this shit.
physics.
And yet, when you're in space, no one can hear you scream.
Have you been in an
This has
anechoic
become
chamber?
a hostile
Oh,
environment.
no, I've never been.
I have.
Oh.
And it is absolutely the most terrifying thing I've ever
How
experienced.
did you? What was this part of the dick and balls there? Like,
No,
how
no,
did
no,
you
no.
do it?
It's
I
like
told
the
you I
thing
went
that
to
John
graduate
Cage
school to study acoustics.
Oh, okay.
So I was originally I was gonna work on buildings as an acoustician. That was gonna be my job. And
So you're
then-
just in Baltimore. So you're like, okay, time.
we
to get
were
in
no,
the
where
chamber.
we went to the Armstrong Ceiling Factory, like the ceiling tile factory, which is where I wanted to work there when I
Thin
got out of
place.
school because it was fun in there. That looked like a fun fucking job, like because they had all these chic different stylings now. It wasn't just like popcorn ceiling, but
If
but
you're-
anyways, like
If you go back to Baltimore, I hope that you'll go to ContraPoint's house and make it look less like the back rooms.
I met her once and she's strange. But anyways, like being in a space without sound is the most horrifying. It's like a body horror experience. Like it is like you can hear the only sound that you can hear is the sound your body makes.
It kind of sounds
That's
like
exactly what John Cage said in that piece he recorded, where he was like, all I could hear was my nervous system and my heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know, it's also kind of
You hear the blood pumping through your capillaries. It's like I almost threw up.
It also kind of reminds me of like the feeling I remember when Andre will remember this. I was in the process of giving birth to Jean-Jacques, and they had given me the pain meds, but I could feel them slicing into my stomach, and I could feel that sensation.
Doing the C-section.
And so I like asked, and I thought I was like screaming, but apparently I was sounding very, very quiet because I was like pretty drugged up, but not drugged up enough. And I was like, can I please have more? Can I please have more? Do you remember, Andre?
Yeah, and I talked to the doctor. I intervened on your behalf because they weren't paying attention to you, and I got them to fix it.
Yeah. Thank you for doing that, because it was like
You're welcome.
the
I love you.
experience of like feeling a knife and wanting to say something but not really feeling like you're underneath water. You know?
That's kind of probably what it's like. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
The
really
reflective room is much more entertaining.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Where like you can like clap and it goes on for like a minute and you're like, wow.
That sounds really fun. I would take Jean-Jacques to that.
I was singing in there.
I'll let you
it was
do
so
that.
cool.
I know.
Singing in there. We just started singing "Ode to Joy" in there, and I like almost cried. There's lots of almost crying. You see, I talking about crying.
I hate it that some of the most wonderfully acoustically set up buildings you're not allowed to sing in. One time I was in a dissertation boot camp workshop in the church. They hold them in the church that's on the Northwestern campus. And it's this beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous room. And I thought I was alone. And I was singing Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift. And then I realized that there was someone else there. And actually, a similar thing happened to me again recently, where I was in the adjunct faculty office, again, thinking I was alone, and I was singing, Peg, it will come back to you. Peg, it will come back to you. The waterfalls to see it all in 3D. And as I say 3D, I'm like, I see this guy, he has a ponytail. He's a guy who always wears a suit, and he has a ponytail. And he was there.
That's a specific.
So he knows Peg. He likes Peg. Come on.
Yeah.
Michael McDonald was actually there in the room with you guys.
He's in the adjunct office. Seagull, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, it's I hate when acoustic, beautiful, perfect places, you can't sing in them.
like banks.
Like banks, perfect example.
Let me in that bank.
Yeah, we gotta get into the bank.
Oh, I went to the Obama Center opening, and they have admittedly very nice little auditorium in there.
Okay.
Like with like kind of vineyard terrace seating, and I was doing clapping and whooping and shit in there, and people were looking at me, and I was like, "This is important.
Yeah, no, that is God's work.
That's
So
actually important. I need the claps.
Yeah.
That's why I wish I was like. This is why I need to bring someone with me. I need someone who had a big, strong clap, because my claps are bullshit. Like, but anyways, when I was in school,
You need like Jason Momoa to come with you.
yeah, I sang, yeah. But anyways, like, yeah, I don't know why this film really made me remember a lot of the Jameson, because it also, there's another Jameson bit that it reminds me of, which is the bit he has about John Portman.
Is it like a bit like a joke or
No.
Okay.
In postmodernism,
Okay.
this is in the introduction to postmodernism, where he talks about John Portman's Hotel Bonaventura, which is, if you've ever been in a Portman building, it is like kind of the Frank Lloyd Wright of backrooms.
Okay.
In that it's not
The
like
Frank
the
Lloyd Wright of
backrooms,
backrooms
it's
is
just
amazing.
that like it is the most confusing building to ever be in, and like there's all these like ancillary hallways. and these elevator shafts and like these shifting platforms, and they're very like visually impressive, very sublime. They make you feel very, very tiny. And all of his hotels, there's a Hyatt in Atlanta. He's got a number of hotels that are basically these big atrium buildings with very complex circulation.
I wonder if he did the Hyatt in Greenville, South Carolina, because
with the giant tampon.
Do you know who did the Hyatt where they had the walkway collapse in the 70s?
That was just a normal builder.
Nebraska?
It was in I literally did a.
Yeah, St. Louis, I think.
Yeah, St. Louis. St. Louis, because I did an episode on what there's your problem about this.
That's a great show.
Mm-hmm. And this was many years ago, but anyways, what Jameson has to say about the Hotel Bonaventura is that the circulation, the obscured circulation of the building is a mirror of like the obscured circulation of capital under neoliberalism.
God, he was so good. Wow.
I know. And
That's
so
a bar.
is a bar.
Yeah,
Holy
and
shit.
it's
Is
like
that Jameson with an E or an I?
Yeah, with an E.
Okay.
And
it's like Anne with an E. Jameson.
No, but there's another Jameson, Kay Radfield Jameson, who is a psychologist who wrote several books about bipolar disorder that are really, really good. She wrote one about like why she wrote a great biography of Robert Lowell.
Is there such a
the poet?
The poet.
Is there such a thing as a bipolar architecture?
As a bipolar person, no.
You're in one.
There's polar architecture, which is igloos.
Yeah, igloos. Yeah, no.
I'm just thinking, like, is there a
You
kind
have
of
two
like,
igloos next to each other,
way
boobs.
of
Of being
knowing?
manic depressive?
Yeah, is there what's the spatialized?
Manic depression?
Yes.
I think the mall, dog.
The mall?
Like, I don't know.
The abandoned mall or like
The
working
regular mall. Like, when you go in, like, I really alternate between manic and depressive in the mall. Where it's like, okay, the manic is like, I'm going to the mall and I'm going to buy things and like, oh my God, like, here's like a store. I don't even know what here's Uniqlo and I know what to get in Uniqlo and I know like, it's like, oh, I live in the city now, so this doesn't matter to me anymore. But like when I was younger and I didn't live in the city and going to Uniqlo was a huge ordeal. And then like the depressive part is trying on clothes.
Okay, so there is a spatiality.
Yeah.
To it.
Well,
And
I
it's
think also
yeah.
eating at the food court is part of the depressive
Yeah,
part.
eating at the food court's depressive.
Like there's that picture of George Lucas where he's eating at a mall
Yeah.
food court and you look at real close at his face, he's fine. He's having a fine time. You look at it in the context of the mall and you're like, that person
It
is
requires-
already dead.
It requires the frame. Yeah.
I love George
Waiting for the
Lucas.
bathroom
Me too.
is also depressive.
Wait, what is? I'm sorry.
Waiting for the bathroom.
Um.
That's depressive.
See, I see.
Like
that
I
as,
think the furniture stores in the mall definitely back rooms and definitely depressive.
But doesn't it totally depend on the context of waiting for the bathroom? Because like, what if you're at the club and you're waiting for the bathroom and like you're having fun with your friends?
Oh, in
it's the
Fools
mall.
Rush In, Matthew Perry meets Salma Hayek waiting for the bathroom. So like the best thing
That's so Pomo.
the best thing that can
is Pomo.
that can happen to you while waiting for the bathroom is that you meet somebody.
Hayek.
Well, yeah, you meet someone. I
I'm trying
guess.
to think of like what the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, like waiting for a bathroom.
I used to, when I was in my 20s, I used to love like going in the bathroom and like making. I still have like girls' phone numbers in my phone from like people I met in the bathroom.
Didn't Christine Lottie win an Emmy while she was in the bathroom?
I think she did. I think that was Christine Lottie. Yeah.
They had to pull her out of
What
the
a
bathroom to
queen.
go get on stage and take
What
the
an
award.
That's relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love her.
That would
Not
happen to
winning,
me.
but like the situation. Okay.
I mean, it's not to me because I've never won anything. So.
I've won a couple of things. But it's funny. The funny thing about me is that I've only won awards for my sports writing.
That's hilarious, but also makes sense. Actually, I don't actually think that makes total sense.
I think God wanted me to be a sports writer, and I'm here for other reasons.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah, fuck
I'm here.
God.
I'm here because I have agency in my own life. Though right now I've been writing a lot of fiction, which has been going well for me.
Yeah, I enjoyed your short story. This like 700-word thing. I thought it was good.
Thank you. I have another one coming out in Joyland soon.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
hopefully.
I am incapable of coming up with a concept of a narrative. Like I just can't do it.
I feel like it comes from the inside out. I can't explain what that means.
okay.
It's like when I
That's
sometimes
like Tessa Moshfegh talks about it like that. She
Yeah.
sounds like it's like someone's like she's like hit the vein,
Yeah.
It's like yeah.
I know so many playwrights in New York City who are so successful and could not tell a story if you put a gun to their head.
That's true, but that's the genius to me. The avant-garde people aren't geniuses.
My
The real
story-
geniuses are like Bonnie McKee and unfortunately like Max Martin. You know, those are the geniuses in the world.
My stories are like under 2,000 words, so you got to tell the story or it's not going anywhere.
I used to write tons and tons and tons of stories when I was a kid, usually like parodies of fairy tales.
Oh, that's funny.
Like I had one where it was like The Princess and the Bruce. And it was because I just thought the name Bruce was funny, and she's like, if she meets this guy named Bruce, here's what she's gonna draw a picture of Bruce, you know? It's like, that was like my
It's a funny name.
domain.
When I was a kid, I used to write stories where everyone died.
Oh yeah.
Like,
It's a very, very convenient and hack way to end a story.
yeah, it's also, well, it's more just like, I never knew anyone who died. And I was just like, that just seems like the most foreign material ever.
That's crazy.
And so I was
You
just
didn't know
like,
anyone who died?
my grandfather died when I was 8, but like, that was the only person I knew who died.
Huh.
I don't know. I didn't know anyone else who died.
Now
On another note.
the creepypasta, right?
Yeah.
Which is a kind of a microfiction, right?
Yeah, I would say that's true. Yeah.
And the Backrooms is a successful creepypasta, but now we see that because it's been a successful creepypasta,
They're going to do more.
They're going to do more.
Okay, this is like 2 questions with this. There's 2 questions. One, is it folklore? Like in a general sort of like ethnographic sense. And 2, if it is folklore, like is there such thing as ownership over the material? Because that's what like the controversy is that like Kane Parsons stole the Backrooms from like
from the culture.
I mean, it's like
he made a bunch of little films.
I like to think of Kane Parsons as kind of like problematic, sure, but like a John Jacob Niles guy. You know, he's just going in, seeing what's already happening and shaping it for a new audience.
I'm glad that there are people that went out on Folkways and recorded all that music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like Tony was that guy in like Hell's Kitchen who recorded all that stuff and they got released, and it was really exciting. I love that.
There's so much of the internet where like 20 years ago the refrain was everything on the internet is forever, and now it's like absolutely everything on the internet, it will be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's a good idea to turn this stuff into like a more
totally
formal
agree with that.
art.
And like the reason they had Kane Parsons do this is because for years and years he's been making videos on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And he makes these videos with Blender, and then the interesting thing is that he makes them digitally with Blender, and then he runs them through a VHS and like records the VHS sort of digital noise or like analog noise onto the image.
Right.
And that is like a layered process, but it's interesting to me that he has to keep that analog layer to maintain like that's actually where it comes from. It's not like a special effect. It's like
one of the things that is about this relationship between these sort of 90s spaces and these virtual internet video game spaces is the way that lighting works, right? Like in these spaces, they have these halogen ceiling light fixtures, right? And they create this wash over everything. And so shadows, which, for 100 years, that's the domain.
Exactly.
That is the domain of horror in cinema, is you put the thing that's scary in the shadow, so your brain has to fill in the gaps. But in these spaces, everything is lit with ceiling halogen lights. And so the problem isn't that you don't know what you're looking at. The problem is that you do know what you're looking at.
Which is such a wonderful flip of kind of horror. That's a wonderful, that's really...
Fluorescent horror.
And we do see a lot of it these days, especially partly because we're getting rid of the fluorescent lighting.
Yeah.
We're replacing it with LED lighting, and so the flickering fluorescent is part of the distant past now. It means you're in a place where Capital can't reach.
Also, I think the reason that the lighting being really good, I think, in Backrooms, I think we can all agree that the lighting was good and talented. It made me like feel less insane because Andre and I were watching an episode of House of the Dragon where you can't see literally anything.
Yeah, that's like such a problem.
Anything.
Now.
And I was like fucking furious about it. And I was like, I know we have the technology. You're just choosing not to do it.
To record visible imagery?
Yeah, you can't see anything in the, like, it's just, like, there could be characters and you can't tell who the fucking character is because the lighting is so dim.
I've never watched that show.
It's really weird. I was so mad about it. This happened like a week ago and I'm still pissed about it. Yeah.
Would anyone like to hear my thoughts on this film?
Yes, please.
Yes, my love.
All right. This is a movie, and there's a couple of details that I'm extrapolating a lot out of, but this is a movie about the backrooms and the homunculi within are a manifestation of the alienation that is a product of the main character, and I would assume other characters, because I get the impression that the backrooms is like a bunch of people's kind of psychic product melding together. But this is a guy who witnessed the end of the post-war boom and the rise of neoliberalism, and that created, in effect, a tulpa.
It is a tulpa. I knew that. I was like, this is
Tulpa
not...
is the right word, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, there's like, it's not the Lynchian movie. I don't think it is. I think it's actually pretty syncretic. But that's definitely, that's...
And a special detail that I noted is when he is staying overnight in the store after he's been kicked out, the shirt that he's wearing says like 1970 California Modernist Convention.
Oh, yeah.
That really stood out to me.
I'm actually really happy you brought that up because I want to talk about the California of it all.
The California of it all, the Santa Clara Valley, I believe it is, touches the Bay Area at its northern border. And so there's that piece as well. 1970 is a really late hour to be a modernist.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say,
that's what makes
like
it so
really
interesting
funny
to
to
me.
me.
Man, yeah.
Santa Clara is where we went 10 years ago today.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
Also, the graphic design of the shirt is wrong.
oh really?
Yeah,
Oh, I couldn't clock that.
That's not how like a shirt that was produced in 1970.
Yeah.
They failed.
And it's also not the typefaces that they would use.
That's also
and it's
not
the
that's
imagery.
also annoying because that's a very easy fixable thing to
That's
do.
the only
So
thing that
we-
like I'm anal retentive and I would care about.
We can assume this gentleman was a college graduate, maybe recently around 1970, right? And
Yeah.
it mentions him being an architect by trade a couple of times in his therapy sessions. So this to me is a guy who would have seen the twilight of that post-war boom, that great economic deal that the boomers and the greatest generation got handed, where, you know, you come home from the war and you get a house for a nickel down and a 0% interest rate. Like, he saw that happen and go away. And then the rise of this new awful thing, right? The moon rise of neoliberalism. And I would assume, I'm kind of grateful I didn't witness that shift, but I would assume that that shift creates a tremendous amount of negative psychic energy that manifests in this like collective horror that we all create and send our own little golems into. That is the back rooms, right? And who is going to be the most aware? Who's going to run into this first? It's going to be a high-tech company, like a medical imaging company, right? It's to me, that was Silicon Valley reaching down.
The MRI
into
company
the
that
film.
initially had the space.
Right. It only makes sense that such a construction is that the product of the alienation and atomization that neoliberalism was created was first encountered and scientifically reckoned with by tech. By big tech. And what do they decide to do? Are they warning anybody about it? No, they're just kind of kidnapping people and mapping the information about the place.
Department of Energy that was.
No, they find it. It's the
Oh, that's right. There's a company. That's, yeah.
Mark Duplass at the end begins the story of what happened to this place by talking about the MRI company. Yeah,
and that feels to me about the internet. That's the commentary on the internet.
In 2013, Eleanor and I took a trip to California to visit places where Eleanor would eventually, go to graduate school. Yeah. You ended up not choosing any of the schools in California, but
Also, we just wanted to go to California. Let's be real.
one of the places we visited was UC Irvine, which was where they shot Battle for the Planet of the Apes, and that era is where they were spending money building these things, and then in the 70s beginning the process of winding them down, right? This is a movie made in the early 70s where they take this community college campus and use it as the setting for this beautiful distant future where everything is perfect, and but that's exactly the thing that didn't happen, right? Every vision of the future from back then was, we're going to build deliberate spaces and live in them, and then that is exactly the opposite of what we did. right? When we end up using those spaces for other stuff, and it just reminds us every single day of how we've created our own, like, wall-less prison. And the walls are the things that remind us of back when, before we were in prison. All right. So next week we are going to talk about, on the schedule.
I don't know.
Who's our guest?
We don't have. Wait a second. Oh wait, we have Seth. We're gonna talk about Seth Simons. We're gonna talk about the new Louis special coming out. Which, sorry guys,
Yeah, Louis C.K.
means Andre and Taylor and I have to watch the new Louis C.K. special. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Yeah.
Hey, there was a time where that would have been one of my favorite activities.
Exactly. It's so devastating.